Okay, welcome to web development. For our first video, I wanted to show you the three main things I wanted you to start off doing on your computer or the computer you're using from the classroom. And that is make sure that you have VS Code downloaded and installed. Make sure you have Chrome downloaded and installed. And make sure you've made yourself a development folder somewhere on your desktop for web development. If you're looking for VS Code, you can go online and type in VS Code, and you'll see this pop up as your first result. And this is what we want to download and install. So you can go to download and find the right version for your computer and then install it. If you need any help with this, please raise your hand and ask. I'm happy to come over and help you. If you need Chrome, go into your Safari browser, do the same thing, type in Chrome, download and install. Obviously, I'm in Chrome here already, so I don't need to do that. Again, if you need any help, raise your hand and I'll come around. At this point, pause this video and make sure you get these three things done first before you go any further, because nothing else will work or make sense unless you have these three things done. Okay, so I'm assuming at this point you've installed Chrome browser, you have a web development folder on your desktop, and you've installed VS Code. Go ahead and open up VS Code. This is the development environment we're going to be working in primarily during this class, and where we're going to be doing a lot of our coding, and then we'll test our code in Chrome once it's done to see what it looks like. You'll see what I've done here. I've clicked on Explorer, and normally, so if I go ahead, let me close this folder just to show you how this works. This is how I like to work my workflow, so I can update this later. I go into this Explorer button here, which are these two pages right over here, and I can click on it, and I can say Open Folder, and then I navigate using single clicks to my web development folder, and I hit Open. And now I know I'm working inside of this folder here, which allows this navigation pane over here to be accessing exactly the things I want to be accessing. So to start off, we're going to make our first web page and our first file, and you're going to be amazed at how easy this is. So we're going to start by clicking this sheet with this little plus sign, and we're going to type in index.html. And you'll notice right away that we get these two little brackets here. Why does that happen? Well, VS Code recognizes that when we label a file .html, that we're going to write this in HTML language, which is hypertext markup language, which is the language that's used for building the content of a website. And then there are a few pieces of beginning code that we write to sort of set up our web page. We start with the doc type. You'll notice I'm going to show you one more time, I've done this angle bracket right here, and right away VS Code has offered a suggestion. And they say doc type, and that is what I want. So I can actually just hit tab, or I can hit enter and select that, and it will fill in the rest of the code for me. That's one of the nice things about working in a development environment like VS Code. It does that kind of suggestion for you, which makes it much easier to get the right thing and not mistype and whatnot. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see as I type. You'll notice my development environment might have different colors and whatnot, and you can change that. We're not going to go through that now, but if you want to explore how to set up the colors and theming, it's called, of your environment, you can do that. It's down here in the command palette. Oh no, here you go, themes. You can mess around with the color theme if you'd like to. Okay, but for now, we're just setting up our HTML file. So the next step to setting up our HTML file, after we've done our doc type, is to tell it what language we're going to be working in. In this case, we're going to be working in HTML, so we're going to set up this big HTML area where all our HTML is going to go inside of this. I want you to notice two things about this. Once again, I only typed the angle bracket and the H, and it made the suggestion. Let me show you that again. It actually makes the suggestion in this list if I wanted to scroll enough, but I don't. So I can hit H, and I get H1, H2, I get all these. I can hit T, and all of a sudden, there's the suggestion I want, and I hit Tab, and it starts to finish it off for me. I can close the bracket, and you'll notice it adds this whole other section of code here. What you're seeing here is an opening tag and a closing tag for this area of HTML. Without the / is the opening tag, and with the / is the closing tag. And what this is telling our interpreter, in this case Chrome, is that all of our HTML is going to happen between these two tags. And what's happening between these two tags is HTML. So that's what we're indicating to the browser. All of HTML is going to be made up of opening tags and opening and closing tags like this. So the next section we want to deal with is the header. We want our page to have a header. Once again, I can close this and I get my opening tag and my closing tag. The header is going to be where we want to put information that we want right up front for our browser to know about. A common one, for instance, is the title of our page. And we're going to do that with the title tag, right like that. And our page is going to be called Hello World, a traditional starting project for any computer science class. And so let's stop there for a second and let's go ahead and look at what we've already done. Whenever you do this work, you want to make sure that you save all of your work to make sure that the file is there and complete before we go and try to look at it. So now if we want to look at it, we can go over to our folder here, Web Development, open that up, and I'm going to right click and open with Chrome to make sure it opens inside of Chrome. Now, you might be seeing the fact that there is nothing on the page. It is a blank page, but we've written some HTML. So what did that HTML do? Well, if you look at the tab up here, you'll see that our page now has a title. It has this Hello World exclamation point title. And this is reflected by whatever this text is here. I could also say, Mr. Huber is awesome. Save that. Come back over here, reload this page, and you'll see that my title has changed. So this right here is affecting this directly. That's kind of neat. Let's go ahead and add more to our page. Outside of a header, what we actually want is to see what's going to be in the main portion of our page, the body of our page. So we, once again, do a angle bracket, and we do what's called a body tag, and we open up a space for that by hitting enter. And now here is where we can start adding to the body of our page. A common one is to use an H1, which is a header of variety 1, which is sort of your main header for the page. Again, I'll write Hello World here. I'm going to change my title back so it accurately reflects what my page is about. It's about saying hello to the world. I'm going to flip over to Chrome. Now you'll notice I didn't hit save. I just flipped over to Chrome, and that's because I have a setting in my command palette here. Sorry, I'll show you how I did that again. If I come down here to this gear and I click on it and I go to this command palette, you can come in here and look at settings for this environment. And let's see, save. Let me see where that setting is. So you'll notice I typed in settings here and I opened up my settings, and the first one here, because it's commonly used, but it may not be the first one for you, so you can look down. But my first one is autosave, controls autosave of editors that have unsaved changes. And I went ahead and changed mine to on focus change. You can do that too if you'd like. It does sort of help you solve a lot of issues, because I will forget to save and switch and run my code and realize, uh-oh, why am I not seeing the changes I just made? Well, it's because I didn't save. So that can help. But it's also really good just to get in the practice of coming up here and hitting save, or hitting Command S is another one, and that saves your work too. Okay, so we've made our changes. We've saved our changes. Let's come in here and refresh, and now we have Hello World in big letters. These are really big letters. Not all of our letters have to be that big. We can have lots of other tags. We could change this to header 2, and you'll notice that it's going to be slightly smaller. Okay. We can change this to a lot of our body of our text is going to be what's called a paragraph tag. So this is kind of the normal text tag. So again, if I Command S saving and I hit refresh, you'll see Hello World there. So HTML builds the what of our page. It's what I've heard referred to as the nouns of our page, right? This is what exists on our page. But this is not all that enticing for a user. So what about what our page looks like, how our page is styled, if you will. Well, that's a different kind of language called CSS, and it comes from a document called a style sheet. So we're going to add a new file here. We're going to say stylesheet.css. And you'll notice right away we get this hashtag here, or this pound sign, right? That's because this is a CSS. That's the file type for CSS, and VS Code knows that this is going to be in CSS based on what we've put as the file type at the end here. Let's go back to our HTML. To make our CSS and our HTML work together, we have to tell our HTML that we want to reference this CSS. And we do that here in our header. Remember, our header is area where we want information for our browser to have right up front. And what kind of styling we're going to have is that kind of browser. And we're going to do a link tag. And you might think web page, link tag, that is a hyperlink. It's actually not in this case. There's a different tag for that. A link tag in HTML just means we are connecting more than one file together. And this is how we're going to connect our style sheet. So you'll notice I'm not closing my link tag. I'm just continuing to put in information inside this opening link tag, which these are called attributes, and it's common when you're doing linking or any kind of other elements other than text, that you're going to have attributes inside of your tags, opening tags like this. So now we also need to be able to tell it, okay, that's what we're going to call it, but what is it? What is the name of the actual file? And that's using this href piece. And here we just say style sheet, and you'll notice the IDE actually brings up the suggestion for me. And then we can close that link tag. And that links those two files together. Now our browser knows that if it's looking for the styling of this page, it should look here. So we're going to go ahead and save this again. Come over here, and let's look at our beautiful styling. No change. Why is there no change? There's no change because we haven't actually put anything into our style sheet. So let's actually do some CSS. Let's style this thing. Let's say we wanted to make changes to all of the paragraph tags inside of our page here. How do we do that? Well, we can come over here and we'd start with a letter P, that's the name of the tag, and we'd add in these two curly braces, and inside of here is where we would start putting information about what we would want our page to look like. So let's go ahead and try changing the color. So all I've done is type color here. And let's see what happens. You'll notice also I get nice recommendations right from VS Code about what kind of colors I can choose. And you'll notice too that I get this closing semicolon, which is important for our CSS for finishing a statement about what we want to see happen. So I've done this. I'm going to hit Command S. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to refresh. And you'll notice my hello world is in blue. And in fact, that would be true for all paragraphs I make after this one. So if I make another paragraph tag and I say, this is another P tag, and I came over here, having saved it, and I hit it, you'll see there's another one, and it's also in blue. So that's how HTML and style sheets work together. I also want to show you why we're working in Chrome and why Chrome is a really nice browser to sort of do web development with. If we right-click on our web page here, and we go to this inspect, and you can do this with any web page, we can actually look over here and see the code that we've just written, that it's interpreting to produce this page. And you can match it, right? If we look side by side here, we can kind of match it line by line. The header has the title in it, has the link to the style sheet. The body has the paragraph in it and another paragraph tag there. And we can also see here the styling for our various tags, if we come down and we click on Hello World in our code here, or we click over here, we can actually use this little button here and click over here. We can come down here and see what styling has been applied. Now, you'll notice that color blue is there, but then there's all this other styling. There is always going to be styling that's going to be applied by default to these things. Chrome has its own default style sheet that it's going to apply initially anyway. Well, when we write a style sheet like this, we're writing over that style and saying, no, we want to implicitly say this is the style we want. Okay, so your assignment. I would like to make sure you have your web development folder, and you are going to work on this HTML file. And if you'd like to, you can also do a little bit of styling on your style sheet. But your HTML file should have a title, should have a body, and in the body it should have some sort of text here, and that this is all formed in this way. And remember, if you are going to do a style sheet, remember that you need that link tag. When you've completed that, go ahead and let me know, and that'll be your assignment for today. Great job.